Hello and welcome to the UKAsian. We're here in London with Mr. Raj Nayak, the Chief Executive Officer of Colours TV, arguably the fastest growing general entertainment channel in India. Firstly, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us what your purpose of your visit to London is.
We've just gone free to air. Colours has gone free to air in London, and this market is growing quite rapidly. And we have two channels in London now, in UK now. That's Rishte and Colours, both doing very well. They are in the top three, both of them. One was to meet the team here and also go and meet a few clients who give us their money. So I met a few advertisers yesterday, and then just to get a feel of what more we need to do in this market.
How important a market is the UK within the television context, at least?
Oh, it's very
Indian
important.
television.
There's a large diaspora of Asians here, and we believe that over a period of time, this is one market that we can develop and make it bigger.
And I mean, in terms of ad revenue, I mean, as someone who's kind of worked within the British Asian community for some time now, how much there's a number of players vying for not a very big pie. Is that an accurate description of?
Yeah,
the
that's
situation?
right. I mean, there's so much fragmentation, and I met 2-3 clients yesterday, and there's so much fragmentation. But I think what has also happened is people have realized that it doesn't make sense splintering your money into with so many channels.
These are advertisers.
These are advertisers. At least the advertisers I met yesterday, 3 or 4 of them, and they are probably some of our big advertisers, and they are not from the mainstream. They are Asian, companies like East End and things like that. And they told me that now they have restricted their plan to 4 or 5 of the top channels.
Oh, right.
And because they have limited money and they have to spend it wisely, so that's what they're doing. And I think that will happen, and there will be players who will also put money on smaller channels, and that's good. I mean, as long as together we are growing the market, we are happy.
What about the mainstream? What about mainstream advertising? Is that something that?
Yeah, that's another, mainstream advertisers have started coming. We do get a substantial part of our business from mainstream advertisers.
What kind of percentage is it at the moment?
I think it's about 35 to 40%.
It's not
35%.
significant, is it?
Yeah, it's 35%. It's so it's not that it's not there.
Obviously, big story that's been going around in the last couple of days is this new series on Colours, 24, an adaptation of the American version, starring Kiefer Sutherland. This one has Anil Kapoor. Obviously, there's been a lot of chat on social media networks in this country, but it is yet to come here. When can you tell us when it's going to be, or if it's going to be here at all?
See, when we bought the rights, we bought for India. Okay, and when this format right takes a lot of negotiation and things like that. And this is the first time that 24 is being done outside of the United States. So they were also a little, they wanted to make sure that we've got it right, we're doing it right, and things like that, the production values and everything. So I think we've done that. You've seen the response that's been on the social media, and not only that, I mean, in the last 2.5 years, I don't think, when was the last time I got so many emails, SMSs, people congratulating us and telling what a fantastic show we brought to India. The newspapers in India writing and saying that this is one show that will be a game changer for Indian television and things like that. So we are happy. So now we are in discussion with the format owners. They've seen some of the episodes, 2 the episodes which have gone on air. They've seen it as well. They're very happy with what we've achieved in India. In terms of absolute viewership, I think this will beat even the original. Sheer numbers.
Yeah, sheer numbers, of course.
And we are in discussion, and we are very, very keen that we bring this to rest of the world. But that all depends on the rights.
Do you think it has appeal beyond the Indian audience?
I don't think so. Because, and that's the reason why we are insisting that it can go to other markets. And it's a small Asian community which will watch it, and that will not in any way impact the English version of the show.
How much? I mean, from a layman's point of view, was Colours involved in the development of the program, or you're just the medium for it to disseminating?
Okay, let me put it this way. The show format was brought by Anil Kapoor.
Right.
Okay, because he had worked there, so he brought the format to India, and he was in discussion with another broadcaster for almost a year plus. When I got to know that this show, and this is something that I've always wanted to do, And I used to tell him, why can't we do shows like 24, Homeland, Grey's Anatomy in our country? And so when I got to know that there is an opportunity, I met Anil. We are good friends. Met him, and it took me 20 minutes to close the deal when he was struggling for 1 year negotiating with another broadcaster. So in 20 minutes we closed the deal. And post that, we are only involved to a large extent in the creative part of it, in terms of, because the story is adapted, right?
Yeah.
It's so in terms of the sensibilities, the adaptation, the script final goes through the colors programming head, that was a girl called Manisha. But in terms of actual shooting, it's done by Anil Kapoor Productions.
And at the moment with colors, how much of your content is original content created by you, and how much of it is the things that you've kind of picked up and...
No. All content is we outsource. We don't have our own production unit within the company.
Right.
Everything is outsourced. We commission, we go through the shows, we go through the ideas. Then we have a team of executive producers who are involved on each and every show, and they're on the floor in the studio from the editing stage, from the shooting stage, at every stage they're there, including the designing of the costumes and everything.
And that's a more commercially viable kind of business model.
And that's true for every satellite broadcaster in India.
Okay. Unlike, for instance, in the US or the UK?
Yeah, no, even there, I think some of them do their own, but some of them, they again buy it from outside.
What do you, Colors has been, you've just completed your, had your, celebrating your fifth anniversary. You're number 2 in India at the moment.
We oscillate between number 2 and number 1.
Okay. I like that, oscillate between number 1 and 2.
Yeah, so we've been there, right now we are number 2. Tomorrow is the rating, let's see what happens with 24's launch. But we have been market leaders, let me put it that way.
Yeah, you've got 2 of the biggest shows on TV at the moment, it's 24 and Big Boss.
We have 24, we have Big Boss, we have Comedy Nights with Kapil,
yes,
which is again a very, very big show. You got India's Got Talent coming up soon. And all our fiction shows, whether it's Madhubala, Balika Vadhu, Sasral Simarka, all are doing extremely well. Uttaran is doing well. So as a channel, we are sorted. The disadvantage we have is we are one channel, so the maneuvering that other broadcasting networks have, that's restricted to us in India. And hopefully we will launch Rishte in India soon.
And I mean, from a business point of view, especially that kind of specialization, having one channel and putting all your resources into that and making it the best that it can be, rather than kind of spreading yourself
it
too
has
thin.
it has its advantages and disadvantages. Advantages is we are a lean, mean team, and we are very focused on what we can do and what we should do and what we are doing. But the disadvantage is, here there's a lot of share of voice that you need for promotion and things like that. So when you have a larger network, which hopefully when we get into regional we will have, it makes it that much more easier to promote and bring people, get them to sample from other parts of your network into the main channel.
And that's the other great challenge about India, isn't it? Regional. And in order for you to be optimally successful, you need to be able to cater to regional markets.
Yes, that is a reality, whether it's in entertainment or in politics, but that's it. The regional channels are playing a very dominant role. And if you have to be a successful network or successful broadcaster, you have to have a play in that game.
So where is Colors heading in that particular direction?
We are in discussions. I mean, ETV network.
Okay.
So hopefully
in the south.
In the south, I mean, they have about 4 or 5 channels which we're in discussion with. As and when that happens, that will hopefully be part of the network.
I'm sure you were asked this question, and you have been asked this question many times. What do you put Colors' success down to in such a short span of time?
2 things. I think when Colors launched, they were the 10th or 11th GC channel. Okay, so when you're starting at that level, your ability to take risks is very high because nobody has any expectation from you. So you can do what you want because the only way you can go is up.
Yeah.
You can't go below when you're starting. So I think one of the things Colors did was they looked at all the channels and said, how are we going to do something different? And and because of your ability to take risks, you chose a path, you did differentiated content, you did disruptive programming, you did things which others would never dare do. And that's true in real life as well. As you become more successful, your ability to take risks keep going down. Today, if you ask me, Colors, we have to think when we take a big decision because we are market leaders.
Yeah.
5 years back, that risk, that it wasn't.
Obviously, having a $10 billion, international entertainment conglomerate behind you helps as well, doesn't it? To an extent.
It helps, definitely helps. But at the same time, let me tell you one thing. Every board looks at your balance sheet every quarter and every end of the year. So there are no free lunches here. You have to deliver the goods. And so that over a period of time, I think it's gone into the Colors DNA that we by default like doing new things. We like to take risks. We like to experiment. And I think everybody, because again the team is very lean, mean, and everybody is passionate, they want to do something new. And because we are a channel that's there, so whatever we do, what I would say is we take calculated risks. So if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But something's not working, then we say, okay, let's experiment with this. Now we don't know whether it will work or not. That's the beauty about creative. You really don't know what works, what doesn't work, right? But unless you don't try, you will never know. And we don't hesitate to try. I think it comes from conviction, it comes from experience, it comes from the great team that we have within Colors.
So, I mean, just in terms of risk, the format, 24, for instance, as a format, would that have worked as well as it has done without Anil Kapoor?
I doubt it. I doubt it at all. I wouldn't have betted on the show had it not been for Anil Kapoor.
Okay.
For me, there were three things. The format I was very convinced about. There's no doubt about it. The fear I always had was, can we get a Jack Bauer in India? And who can play that role? Okay? And more importantly, can we live up to the same slick production values, the editing, the quality of production, real-time thing as it's done in the United States? There you're spending millions of dollars on a show. Here you're spending...
And it was superbly written as well.
Yeah, it's superbly written. And then how do you adapt it to India was a challenge because, religion is a big thing in our country. So when you're showing terrorism or something, you have to be very careful. Your politics is a big thing in our country. You have to be very careful. So, how do you sidestep the issues without taking from the essence of the show? And that was very important for us. And I think, sometimes everything comes together. They say the universe conspires to make things happen. Sure. I think it's happened in the case of 24. Everything just fell in place to an extent where we have big names like Anupam Kher, Shabana Azmi, Tiska Chopra, Rahul Khanna, Mandira Bedi, everybody wanting to be part of the show, and they are part of the show and they have contributed immensely. The other thing about the show was we didn't want it to be Bollywood. We were very clear we didn't want it to be Bollywood.
Absolutely.
So if we have Bollywood names in it, it's not because they are Bollywood, it's because they fitted the character within the show. Nobody could have done that role what Anupam Kher has done. When you see the show, you'll know that. Nobody could have done the role what Rahul Khanna has done. So it was not Bollywood. It was not Bollywood faces we wanted in the show. We wanted recognized faces, but they should fit the character. And if they didn't fit the character, it didn't matter. We would get a fresh face and put it there.
Speaking of us seeing the program, it's already. I mean, that this is something that you're probably very concerned about. There are torrents of it already available online. How much of a concern is piracy for you?
It is a big concern. It's a very big concern, but it's not just Colors. I think that globally everybody is fighting this issue, and we can do to the best of what we can to control it. But any show anywhere in the world today is available on torrent. That's a reality, but it's a big issue, and I think over a period of time it'll. As things are available to everybody, real time, I think piracy will go away. Today in India, you have American shows being telecast almost same time. So once that happens, then all these things will vanish. It's like prohibition, right? When something is not available, then people will find ways to get it.
It's a good example, yes. So 24 is a game changer. What would you like to do next? I mean, you mentioned a certain.
I would love to not go back to India, take a flight and go to LA. I've got 3-4 shows in my mind which I'm dying to do.
For instance?
I can't tell you because my competitors, I know
Okay.
already right now, I know that all my competitors, and I said this 5 months ago to the Wall Street Journal, and I said, be assured the day 24 clicks, you'll have all the CEOs on a flight to LA wanting to do similar shows. That's herd mentality, that's our business, right? But there are 3 or 4 shows which I'm very close to, and I think they can be adapted to India. And if my board allows me, I would love to bring them to India. But again, the big challenge is going to be...
Are you a fan of Downton Abbey, by the way?
I have watched it. I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but I've watched it. But I think, English shows, British shows, in the Indian context become slightly difficult to adapt. That's the problem. But other than that...
you need the pizzazz of Hollywood for India, isn't it? Is that...
It's more, I'd be very choosy, careful when I use the words. But I think,
because you need to go to Los Angeles.
and I have to go to India as well. I think you need something that especially in a Hindi GEC channel, you need something that will resonate with the masses. A show like this will resonate with the classes, not necessarily with the masses, because it's got too many.
But then, American TV, for instance, in recent years, things like Boardwalk Empire, Homeland.
Homeland will work.
Homeland will work big time, and even these are a lot of HBO shows, for instance. These are exceptionally well written, very good production values and stuff. So the quality is certainly there. It's not just it doesn't look like a mass production.
They spend millions to do that. That's why I'm saying when you get a show, you have to first bring a show which you think you can adapt for India's masses, and then the production. And for me, the worry is when I get my next show, or when we choose to do another show, which is who is going to do the production, and can we get the same level of detailing? And that is the biggest challenge. And I think that is also one of the reasons why you haven't seen so many things so far. It's not just the money, and then finally the ROI, the return on investment has to work. But I think 24 will be the gateway for others to experiment, and you need 2-3 successes, and then the floodgates will open.
Product placement has also played a big role with 24, hasn't it?
Yes.
I know you've plugged Tata extensively on Twitter.
Yes, Tata Motors came on board from the 5th episode. Because by the time they came with the sponsorship, we had already shot 4 episodes. So there's nothing we could do in the first 4 episodes. So there are different cars and things like that. But from the 5th episode onwards, you will see very cleverly using Tata vehicles in the show, subtly but without in your face.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about there are plans afoot for a movie channel, a Colors movie channel. Tell me about that.
We had a plan of launching a movie channel about 2 years back, but for the moment it's in suspended animation because the economics just doesn't work. So at least in the near future, at least for the next 1-2 years, I don't think we'll launch a movie channel.
Is it a commercially viable prospect to have a purely cinema channel in the days of 100 crore movies and multiplexes?
No, I don't think so. In the current environment, I don't think it makes sense unless you have a huge library already lying in your backyard, which we don't have. And that's the reason we will not do it, at least in the near future.
I thought Colors already had a library.
We have a library, but it's not big enough. Because about 2 years ago, again, we sold part of our library to Star because... so right now, we don't have a big enough library to launch a movie channel.
A couple of final questions. Historically, you're an ad man. What was it like making the transition to kind of taking over as CEO of Colors, and how much of a role do you play in programming and choosing the programs that go on Colors?
Okay, transition was very easy. I spent 20 years in television. I was one of the 6 people who started Star TV in India. So I've been through the evolution of satellite television in India. And you were involved because as a sales guy, you are involved in what kind of shows will sell, you're involved in research, you're involved in marketing, and then end of the day you have to go and convince a client. So I believe that every sales guy has to be creative within himself, irrespective of it is. And then because you're into revenue generation, you have a role to play in management as well. So that transition was not difficult. I believe that my role at Colors, and it's not just with programming, with every department, I play the role of a mentor, a coach, and a manager. I get involved at the time of decision making, as to saying, should we do 24, shouldn't do 24. And this is a call, like I said, in 20 minutes we took a call.
And that's a completely personal decision that you
That's
make.
a personal decision, as long as I get my approval from my board in terms of spending the money. But it's a personal decision. But once the decision is made, I don't get involved in the how it should be done, because that's not my expertise. The programming head takes over.
But then on a personal, who do you refer to? Do you talk to your family? Say, what do you guys work in? I mean,
I even bounce ideas with my programming head. I speak to my friends. I speak to my daughter. I get feedback. Her friend circle is a big feedback mechanism for me.
Yes.
Okay, and I speak to my driver. I speak to my cook. They are another source of feedback mechanism for me. And where fiction programming is concerned, again, to a large extent, I'm involved with the process, but I let the the fiction programming head, go with his gut feel and his decision, because it's much more evolved, So it's a combination. We are a team. We sit, we discuss. Sometimes it's an individual decision, sometimes, and it's not necessarily my decision, it's somebody else's individual decision, and we all go with the conviction of that particular person and say, okay, let's do it. And sometimes it's a collective decision, and we say, okay, chalo karte hain, dekhenge kya hota hai. You got to also enjoy what you do. You have to have fun. You need to experiment, and you need to somewhere. I think you need to be able to say, okay, we tried this, and we tried 5 things, 2 worked, but these 2 which worked, we made some dent. We left some footprint in the industry.
3 quick fire questions to finish off. Number 1, how much of a say do you have with regards in relation to Salman Khan's wardrobe on Big Boss? Who's going to win Big Boss, and who's your favorite couple inside the Big Boss house?
None of the 3.
None of the 3.
None of the 3.
You can't answer none of the 3?
No. I don't have a say in Salman Khan's wardrobe. Okay.
What do you think of it then?
As long as it's working for the show, as long as he likes it, and the people who work with him, the costume designers like it, so I'm fine. We haven't got any complaints, so that's fine. In terms of who's winning the show, end of the day, you're dealing with the public, and you're a mass broadcaster. You cannot be caught on the wrong foot where you hear it. So we have a very strict process of auditing, and E&Y does our audit, and there's a strict process, because you can't mess around. You're playing with public sentiments. You can't mess around. So that is something that everybody stays away with. Even Salman Khan would stay away.
Right.
Okay.
Who would you like to win then?
This time?
Yes.
In the Big Boss house?
Yeah.
If I say this, the next year I'll have very difficult task getting in contestants into the house.
Okay.
By default, let me tell you, and this happens. This time, Jhalak Dikhla Ja, the girl who won was protagonist from our show, Madhubala. Okay? You should have seen Twitter, cheating, this one, that one. But what people don't realize, last year in the finale, we had our girl from Uttaran, Rashmi Sharma, in the finale, and the person from ZTV won. Nobody remembers. Memory is so short. So you have to be very careful about these things. So even if jokingly, I have my favorite, of course, in the house, and it's a she.
It's a she. Okay. Is she related to a very popular Bollywood actress?
No, I'm not going to say anything. But even by mistake, I give you a name, and if that person happens to win tomorrow, you can imagine what it will do. So you have to be very careful in these things.
A favorite couple?
In the Big Boss house? Right now, I think there's chemistry.
Who's got the best chemistry?
I think there's chemistry right now between Gohar and Kushal, and I think there's something developing between Arman and Tanisha. I think, I mean, that's as a viewer, I think, but you don't know. Let's see.
They're spending an awful lot of time together.
Yeah, but
Even one
but you know,
is in the cage.
in a show like Big Boss, you don't know whether they're playing to the gallery or it's
True.
real. So you
Absolutely.
don't know. You don't know.
So can you give us a date for 24 in the UK?
I wish I could,
Okay.
but let me tell you, with
Weeks, months?
hand on my heart, I would want it to happen as soon as possible.
Okay. Raj Nayak, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.